Hi everybody, I'm Matt Howe, and this is the Barbra Archives YouTube channel. And I'm back again solo this week because my publisher Scott Ryan is on the West Coast taking care of business. And I'm continuing this short series of answering fan questions that were sent via the internet. Usually Scott and I discuss some Barbra Streisand albums and we choose our favorite track, and but we have to forego that this week and talk about my book, which is coming out April 24th, 2023, Barbra Streisand, The Music. And I'm sure you guys have heard me talk about this already, but if you're new to the channel, this is a book, hardcover, full color inside, and all about Barbra's incredible, over 60 years long recording career, every album, all of her singles, and rare unreleased tracks, and more. So I hope you have a chance to check that out. You can pre-order it at tuckerdspress.com right now, and it will come out April 24th, 2023. So we're going to continue with questions from fans about Barbra Streisand's career, my book, my website, things I know, and this is fun. I've had a good time doing it. I'm going to try to be more quick with my answers this time because I think I tend to go on and on. Okay, this is from Sam via Instagram. Hey Matt, by any chance did you talk to Kim Carnes and her husband Dave Ellingson for the book? I worked with him and told him that Love Comes from Unexpected Places is one of my all-time favorite Barbra songs. Anyway, he says some more lovely things. There's a great interview, probably from a few years ago, with Kim Carnes about the genesis and the writing of Make No Mistake, He's Mine. I mean, she's just so articulate and perfect, and her answers really cover all the bases that I didn't really need to talk to her because she told the story so well. I think it's a Rolling Stone interview. In any case, the quotes, the extensive quotes from Kim Carnes about writing for Barbra for this duet are in the book. Okay, next question. This is from Instagram again. Richard Nardini. Hi, with your new Streisand book, does it include the RIAA status and awards on each album, which is the Recording Industry Association of America? Thank you, Richard. That's a great question. No. My book has track lists, catalog numbers, and front and back cover, but I don't list each RIAA status. My website does that, so you can always go to my website and look at that. However, I will say that within the book, within each chapter or each album, if it's worth mentioning, I do talk about this was a triple platinum or a quadruple platinum, or this sold X many units. I mean, I do talk about that because, you know, especially when you get to the 90s and Higher Ground and how many units that sold, and then Love Like Ours, and you compare that to like what Walls did, or, you know, what Encore debuted at. I talk about all of that. But specifically as a line item, as a listed item on each album, no. But on my website, you can go there and see it. But thank you for the question. Sorry, I've got to unlock this. Next. This is from D Jarvis 79. Was there ever a Streisand release that you didn't have at least one song you listened to over and over again? I think that's her greatest achievement. There is at least one song on every single album that I love and listen to all the time. I agree, D Jarvis 79. No, I mean, that I didn't listen to over and over again? No. There's at least one, and several more. And you know what I do? This is so old school. Sometimes if there's a song that I really like, but I don't quite understand, or I feel connected to for some reason, but I don't know why, because I don't understand what the lyrics are saying, because I really am, you know, I like to look at lyrics like a poem sometimes, and like, what's the lyric writer saying? What is Barbra trying to say to us? So an example of that is what matters most. Like, I love the song. It feels moving to me. It moves me in some way, but I don't really quite understand what Alan and Marilyn Bergman were trying to say with that song. So I write down the lyrics. I mean, at this point, I type out the lyrics, and I listen to it, a line at a time. I type them out. If I'm confused, then I do consult, online lyric sites, which usually get a lot of stuff wrong. But anyway, yeah, sometimes that's a way for me to really connect with a song, is by typing out the lyrics and then thinking about what they mean, what each stanza means, what Barbra is probably trying to say, why Barbra was attracted to the song. I don't know, I hope that answers your question, D. Jarvis 79. Next. Joe Albanese. This is from Instagram, I think still. Joe asks, did you get any feedback from Barbra Streisand about your upcoming book release? No, I did not. I mean, Barbra doesn't do that, right? I mean, she doesn't comment on other people's books. And as much as I've worked with her team and everything like that, I'm other people's books. And like I said in another episode or another question, I got a lot of information from her SiriusXM interstitials, where she talks in depth about a lot of her albums, like really good stuff. I don't know if that's in her book or not, but no, I don't even know if Barbra knows about the book, but I'm gonna send her a copy. So, it's a book all about her. How could she not like it? Okay, next question. This is from, I think, Instagram again. I'm sorry, I know I have some tweets and some Facebook in here, but Scott Tietler, I hope I said that right, commented, Matt, would be great if you discussed the Funny Lady soundtrack. Oh. When will it finally be released on music apps? Perhaps the more attention you might bring, the better chance it becomes available to stream. Well, Scott, I agree. Funny Lady and the soundtrack from Nuts are the two holdouts on online streaming. And when we say online streaming, we're talking about Spotify, Apple Music, things like that. Listen, there's a fellow that I interact with that works at Legacy Recordings, and a couple years ago he asked me what's not on Spotify. And I gave him a list, which included Funny Lady and Nuts. The others he actually managed to get on there. Like, for instance, Live at the Village Vanguard wasn't on Spotify for a long time, and I brought that to his attention. I think I brought to his attention the Partners and the Encore bonus tracks, and they're on Spotify now. But even though he's never come back and specifically said this to me, I suspect Funny Lady is tied up in legal red tape, because as you may know, Funny Lady was not released by Barbra's longtime record company, Columbia Records. It was released instead on Arista Records at the time in 1974. And it's since come out on CD on Arista Records, but if my memory serves me right, Arista was broken up or consolidated or bankrupted several years ago. So I'm pretty sure that that is lost in some sort of, legal red tape right now, which is why it's not on there, because if it wasn't tied up in red tape, it would be on there, So that's my best answer for that. I'd love to have it on there at some point. That would be great. Okay, next question. This is this is from Twitter. I told you some Twitter was coming. Cool Cat asks me, hey Matt, why wasn't the Guilty Pleasures album more successful? I think it's one of Barbra's best contemporary albums. It's a worthy Guilty sequel. She sounds so good and relaxed on it. Discuss. Well, Cool Cat, if you didn't see the episode where Scott and I discussed Guilty Pleasures, then my response won't be a surprise to you. I agree. I think it's a great album. I think it's fun. I think it's sexy. I think there are good songs, and I wish it would have been more successful. Scott, my co-partner and Barbara Fun, does not like the album. And there's fans that have put in the comments, they hate it, they think it's below her. There's other fans that love it. So I think it's really divisive. I don't know. I wish people were on the same page with it, but I agree. I liked it a lot. I think it should be more successful. So yeah. All right, next we have Christina. I think Christina is in Canada, if I'm right. She asks, what's happening with the film about Golda Meir? Yeah, what's happening with Barbara's film about Golda Meir? I agree. You know what I think is happening, Christina, and I don't know this for sure. I think that, like her film with Catherine the Great, I think other properties kind of stole the thunder. You know, there's a TV show about Catherine the Great. There's a movie about older Catherine the Great with Helen Mirren. I mean, why would Barbara want to make that movie anymore? Same with Golda Meir. I think, oh my God, is it Helen Mirren is playing Golda Meir as older Golda Meir? My God, this is like a theme with Helen Mirren. I just think my guess is that Golda Meir has been done twice now, and why would Barbara make a movie now? You know, the same was done with Margaret Burke-Wright, which was another subject of a Barbra Streisand movie. She kind of got scooped by a TV movie version with Farrah Fawcett. Directed by Lawrence Schiller, the photographer. I know, right? I'm pulling all this out. I'm trying to go faster. Here we go. Joanna, my friend on Twitter, she tweets me, will Barbara ever release It Doesn't Get Better Than This from The Mirror Has Two Faces? It's such a fun and flirty song, absolutely deserves a release. And she has a second part that I'll get to in a second. Well, Joanna, I agree. Will she ever release it? I mean, I've talked to Jay Landers about it, and he knows about it, and a lot of times these songs are looking for their spot on the next Release Me or whatever version of an album they're putting out. So I would just expect that eventually someday it'll be out. But I agree, it's such a great song. Sort of the prototype of I Finally Found Someone and All of My Life. But God, it's so fun. It's such a fun up-tempo. So the other part of Joanna's text was, will Barbara ever release? Or anything from the sessions she did for Back to Broadway album 2 in 1988. The recordings are so beautiful. I agree. There's only a few songs left from those sessions that haven't been released though. There would be Moonfall from Rupert Holmes' musical. There would be Make Our Garden Grow, which I think Jay Landers is holding on to for a future release. A Funny Thing Happened, which was not Barbara's song in I Can Get It For You Wholesale. All I Ask of You, they would probably never release that because her pop version on Till I Loved You is better. Oh, yes, and there's On My Own from Les Mis. I'd like to see those get released, and I'm sure Jay knows all about it, and they probably have some sort of future plan. Next! Okay, Bill Ace on Twitter asks, what two Barbra recording songs would you recommend to someone who is not familiar with her music to appreciate her extraordinary talent? That's a great question. What two songs would I recommend to someone not familiar with Barbra's music? Bewitched, Bothered and Bewildered, and A Piece of Sky. I just pulled those out of thin air. I mean, I almost would want to show them Barbra on the Judy Garland show singing Bewitched, Bothered, and Bewildered because it's such a great video acting.
I sing to him each spring to him and long for the day when I'll cling to him.
And of course, A Piece of Sky is just that long note held till the end of infinity. And the beautiful Michel Legrand music, the very insightful and deep Bergman lyrics, and then just that finale that goes on forever. I mean, that is quintessential Barbra Streisand to me. Yeah. Okay, next question. This is a direct email from Mike Waller. Do you think there is any possibility of an all-female duets album, and who would you consider must-haves on it? Well, she tried that already, but they just weren't available. So, and she says in interviews, Barbra says in interviews that she'd love to make that album. So she'd love to sing, I think she's on record saying she'd love to sing with Beyonce and Adele. Yes, she should make that album. Yes, all female duets. Do it. And Diana Krall should produce it. There I said it. Okay, second part of Mike Waller's question. Also, in talking with the Barbra team, is there any possibility we will get another Barbra movie so that Guilt Trip is not her swan song? Oh, I do like Guilt Trip though. It's a sweet, sweet movie. I don't know what's happening with Barbra's film career, and I don't know if Barbra does either. I mean, it's like a different business now, right? I mean, it's Marvel MCU, it's Warner Brothers. I don't know, it's big comic book movies these days. It's hard to get a movie made that's like a love story or a sweeping romantic historical tale. She was working on that, like I said earlier, the Catherine the Great movie. She was working on the Margaret Burke-White biopic. I don't know. I think it's more likely, Mike, that she will direct another film and not star in one. I mean, that's just my gut. I have no idea. Okay, next question, another email, another direct email. Joshua Drayton says, the big question, is Barbra working on a new album? It's been nearly 5 years since Walls, so surely one is due. I agree. And I don't know that for sure. I can't answer that with certainty, but I think Barbara's always working on a new album. I think she's always collecting songs, and she said that. She said that like specifically. She said in an interview that she likes a new Desmond Child song. He wrote Lady Liberty for the Walls album. She says she's desperate to record it. She's also mentioned, this is in the book, so I guess I'm giving it away, but she's also mentioned that she had Alan Bergman put lyrics to old Michel Legrand songs that were in some legal red tape for a while. Now they're out of legal red tape. And so she'd like to record those songs. So I think she's got sort of like a Walls-like, and by that I mean sort of pop-influenced album in her. But, Barbara's over the age of 80 right now, and like most of our older people in America, we're not out of COVID yet. And when she works on an album, she has to go into a recording studio and work very closely with arrangers, conductors, musicians. And as she said in an interview, I can't sing through a mask. So I think we have to get a little bit further out of this pandemic and into more safer times. Yeah, that's the answer to that. That's all I know, though. I mean, nobody's told me anything differently, so thanks, Joshua. Okay, this is a direct email. Scotty Clock. Hi, Scotty. Thank you for your very nice email. I won't read the first part, but he asks, it's the same thing. On a totally different note, any word on a new album? Well, I just answered that, so hopefully you saw that, but that answers your question, too. I think there's going to be a new album, but I don't think it's going to be this year. Okay, next question. This is from Facebook. Scott, my publisher, forwarded it to me because I'm not on Facebook anymore. This is from Deviant Kalen. I love your videos, guys. Yay! A question for you both. Chris Bodie joined Barbra on stage during her Back to Brooklyn tour. Why do you think they didn't include the gorgeous Alone in the World in the set list? After all, he did the trumpet solo on the album What Matters Most. Yeah. Why didn't they include that song? I agree with you. But good question. I don't know the answer. It's Barbara's, almost like when Scott and I pick one track from each album, I have a feeling it's what Barbara is into, it's the feeling, it's the emotion, it's how it fits into the show. I mean, it's all of those. It's very complicated to put together a set list for a show. So I'm sure there's a lot of feelings and opinions that go into that. Okay, this is another one from Facebook via Scott. This is from, I think you pronounce it Marcy. If not, it's Mars, and I apologize if I pronounced it wrong. Asks, I have a question. Since none but one, Right as the Rain, Broadway-related songs was included on the Release Me 2 album, do you think it's possible that there will be a Release Me 3 or something with all the Broadway songs still unreleased from the Rupert Holmes sessions, etc., etc.? Yeah. I see what you're saying. I mean, I don't know for sure, but I suspect that, yeah. Because there are a lot of unreleased Broadway songs, and so they could put together. Listen, I mean, Barbara is on record in an interview saying that Jay thinks that there could be like 4 or 5 volumes of Release Me. So we've only had 2. So I think there's future Release Me's in the future, and of course, I think you're absolutely right. They could totally make one of the Release Me's a Broadway-themed one and include all of these unreleased songs. Okay, I've tried really hard to power through these because I know I can be long-winded. So I've got 2 more, and then we'll wrap this up, okay? Okay, this is a tweet from Gary Hetherington. What are your thoughts on the Walls album? I think it's one of the best, but seems to have been cruelly ignored. Well, I agree. I'm not going to give you a lot of thoughts today, though, Gary, because Walls is a future episode of, Matt and Scott pick one song from Barbara's albums. We haven't recorded it yet because Scott's away. That's why I'm doing this. But we will discuss the Walls album, hopefully with a special guest. But we're still working on that. Scheduling! So anyway, Gary, but I will agree, cruelly ignored. I agree. Okay, next question. Lawrence Gaddy. Hey, Matt. Okay, wait. Lawrence is getting real with me. Hey, Matt. I've always been confused by conflicting information Barbara has released on how much or how little special care she takes of her voice, singing lessons she's taken, or medical attention she's sought. Has she mentioned anything she's doing differently in recent years? Oh God, that's a great question, Lawrence. So here's what I know. In the last bit of my book, I discuss the voice, and I offer my opinions and my observations. But I'm not going to go into that now. In the past, in 1963, Barbara was hoarse and suffering from vocal problems while she was on the road promoting her first album. And in San Francisco, she went to go see a voice teacher whose name I forget, but I have the interview with her on my website somewhere. Maybe I'll link it in the YouTube video. In any case, this voice teacher, a female voice teacher, really helped Barbara. And what Barbara has said, and I'm paraphrasing here, is that she didn't try to control Barbara as in, you should be singing like this. She merely relayed to Barbara the physiology of how this apparatus works when you're singing. So Barbara could look at a chart and sort of say, oh, that's what my body's doing. But then Barbara also learned that it's mind over matter as well. That, the physiology of producing a note doesn't contradict the willpower of seeing, hearing that note in your head and going for it and reaching it. So I think that Barbara's, over the years, has learned to bring the two together, the physiology and the will. That being said, Barbara has never, to our knowledge, had vocal surgery, vocal nodules, because that's like where there's a bump on the vocal cords that rubs, and that causes bad things. She did have laryngitis, which is not nodes, in '94 and had to reschedule a few of her California concerts. But in general, Barbra's never canceled for being sick or having vocal problems. And then the other thing I know about Barbra's vocals is that Tony Bennett gave her a vocal warm-up tape. I don't know what that tape sounds like, and I don't know if she's doing me. I have no idea what she does, but she has a vocal warm-up tape from Tony Bennett. And I just know that I have read interviews where if she's on her way to a recording session, now this isn't like in the last few years, if she's on her way to a recording session, she'll listen to that vocal warm-up in the car so that she's ready when she gets to the studio. So yeah, I hope that answers your question. Okay, that's the end of this episode. This is my book, comes out April 24th. Thank you all for sending me the questions. I'll try to do some more of these. I think there's some more questions coming in, but hopefully I answered your questions. Hopefully I made sense. It's the holiday today, and I think it's time for a nap. Thank you for joining me. Solo Matt, without Scott. He'll be back soon, and we might have a fantastic guest joining us, but we're still trying to figure that out. Life gets busy. I'm busy. Oy, I was in a Mardi Gras parade yesterday. Anyway, that's TMI. Thank you for joining us. I'll see you soon.